The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selina MacKenzie.
Now, we are going to be talking about the 11th instalment now in the popular Thrown Away Children series. We're talking about Milo's story. Welcome back to the show, Louise Allen.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
Thank
good.
You so much.
Welcome back. I've just worked out on our calendar. I know this is the 11th, but I've interviewed you 10 times now, so I must have missed one along the way.
Oh no, let's go back in time.
We'll have to find out which one's missing. But it's all important stuff. For those that haven't heard us chat before, can you explain to the listeners exactly what you do?
Yes, brilliant. Thank you. Yes, well, I am a foster carer. I also grew up in care. So I understand what it's like to be a child in the care system and a foster carer. And I work very hard on my other days, ensuring that children are safely looked after and well looked after and represented. So it's my life now.
Yeah, you do an amazing job, and I know you raise lots of awareness as well, which is important. So this one is Milo's story, and Milo was with Michelle and Andy.
That's right. Yes, they're foster carers. They were newly qualified foster carers before Milo ended up with us. He went somewhere else after them. Now, this story is, every story is different because, my word, there are some stories out there. But the Andy and Michelle were new to fostering. They wanted to, quite rightly, become foster carers. They thought that they could give back to a system after their own child had left to go to university. And they, like so many foster carers, sadly, sign up, go through the process, and it's not quite what they think it is. Well, in this case, it was worlds apart from what they'd been told it would be like and what they thought it would be like. And their relationship broke down. Milo was fostered by Michelle on her own, and he's a demanding, challenging young boy because of the issues that were going on for him. And then that broke down. Then Milo ended up with, because there is such a shortage of foster carers at the moment.
Really?
We're in crisis, but that's another conversation. He ended up with an elderly couple because they're still promoting. Ooh, there's a police car just shot past. That wasn't me. This time, they're now promoting fostering to people in their 80s, which I think is absolutely crazy.
Yes.
So they put him with an elderly couple who had become hoarders. And they couldn't look after him. They didn't look after him. They missed a lot of his needs. And he also acquired worms while he was there, which was why when he came to us, he was just, no matter how much food I put in him, he was always so thin. And then I worked out that it was probably worms, and we got into doctors and sorted it all out. But he's like so many children now, whether they're in care or not, who I think are being misdiagnosed. He was being prodded and probed for mental health issues, which it turned out he would more likely have as he gets older. But what was wrong with him is physical issues. So that his behaviour was down to the fact that he was unwell.
Oh.
And so we sorted that bit out, but he went on without ruining the story. The time he spent with us, I managed to do quite a bit of detective work. I'm one of those very curious foster carers. I like to know what's going on for them physically, as well as mentally. So, I mean, I've looked after children that have been told that they are unlovable, that they can't be looked after, that they are the terrible attachment disorders. And then I've pulled the child up to the window and said, open your mouth, looked in, and there's loads of abscesses. So you get them on antibiotics and have their teeth sorted down, and they're a completely different child.
Oh, it's so sad.
We too readily think it's mental health.
Yeah. We assume because they've probably had a tough start in life that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, but often it's practical things, and dentistry in the country at the moment here in England is really tough.
So I heard, yeah.
So, yeah, it's awful. And children in care have already come probably from neglect anyway, and probably have never been to the dentist. So most children I look after haven't even been to a dentist. So one of the first things I do when a child comes into my care is get them straight to the dentist, the doctors, to be looked at, to be checked out, to see if there's any referrals. That's after I have to nag all the officials and professionals to transfer all the notes over and get into an optician's.
Oh, bless. How old was Milo at that time?
He was 7 when he came. He didn't stay too long, but he stayed long enough to really affect us emotionally. I absolutely adored him. But it's a happy ending, because in the midst of all this, and we knew he had a mother who had died of heroin overdose, which is too common. But notes were missing in the referral. There was a lot of confusion, a lot of social work activity at the moment, because like there's a foster carer crisis, there's also a crisis in social workers. A lot of them are leaving. There's always a lot of loose ends, and a lot of information isn't transferred over. But I managed to find I met his grandfather at Family Time, which is Contact in Old Money, but we call it Family Time now. And I met his granddad, and I couldn't believe what an exuberantly lovely human being he was. He was an old rude boy. So he had a pork pie hat on, red braces, the cherry red Dr. Martens, ex-fireman. When I first saw him, I thought, oh no. What have we got here? But he was absolutely delightful. And he fought with his girlfriend, his partner. They fought hard to get Milo into their care. So we helped them. So it was a journey, but on the way there was some serious medical realizations, which I won't tell you about because that'll ruin the story. But it was not straightforward. And he is like so many children that just get overlooked.
Yeah, it's so sad, and I'm still reeling that they gave him to a couple in their 80s. I mean, I'm not being rude, but I don't think I could cope, and I'm only in my 50s, so in their 80s,
I recently saw an advert on a regional TV with a man in his 80s who was saying that his wife had died. Now he thinks he's going to be a foster carer. And I was knowing what I know. I was thinking you'd last 2 minutes, one kick in the shin. You'd be driving. What would you going to do if you meet county lines, or if your child comes home drunk? Or I think it's terrible.
It is terrible. And what happens, Louise? I mean, for people, obviously, what you're doing, but for Michelle and Andy, who are newly foster carers, albeit they did split up, is a lot of training given? I mean, because these are not just children they've taken on; these are children with a hard start in life.
Absolutely. There is. I've actually just started my own training. I'm just rolling it out soon. It's just being tested because I couldn't believe how bad it was and how inconsistent, because we have 152 local authorities in this country, and we have hundreds of independent fostering agencies, all doing it slightly differently, or very differently. And foster carers get a skills to foster training when they first sign up to become foster carers. And that doesn't teach you anything, in my opinion. And then you go through a very, very rigorous Form F, which is the interview process, which looks at every detail of your life, financial, personal, and everything. And for a job, effectively, where you're not prepared to do it. So the risk of allegations and failure is too great. And of course, now they go through the interview process, which is, you go for the skills to foster, then you start your Form F process, which can take 6 months to a year, which is too long. 70%, 75% of people drop out at that stage. And I think what's happened is that the nature of fostering has changed dramatically. It used to be aimed at sort of the mums, there's a bit of pin money. But the needs of children now are prolific. You can't have people in their 80s trying to work out Snapchat and who's abusing children online, can you?
Not really. And to be honest, a couple in their 80s should be enjoying their downtime. You know, they should be enjoying their life.
I wouldn't want to be doing it.
No, I know. It's crazy. So I know that he was classed as a raging tornado, poor Milo, and you found out why. But it makes me think of this. I don't know if you've started watching that new Netflix program, Adolescent. I mean, we've only watched the first one, but it's very cleverly done. And I think the young lad, the actor, Owen Cooper, is fantastic. But he just seems to have a violent streak. And I assume the more we watch, the more we're going to find out why.
Yeah, we are. We're going to, I know as much as you. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I think this is sparking off so many conversations, because what he might have is ADHD. What he might have is who knows what. What he might have is the parenting of social media, which is one of the most powerful parenting things we've got. How many of us stick our children in front of a screen, or give them a phone or an iPad to shut them up? I was having a conversation earlier with someone about, how you can look at something on your phone. So a child can look at something on their phone, and within a couple of scrolls, they're in porn.
It's terrible, isn't it? It really is too easy.
Yeah, it's absolutely outrageous, and the effects of that on the brain is horrendous. And you've also there was an experiment recently, I think it was at Cardiff University, where they set up a number of phones and invented accounts that looked like they were young men. And then I think they did a similar for young women. And within 20 minutes on the male phone, so there were young men maybe up to 25, they set up these accounts. They were receiving, Andrew Tate hate stuff, and how to hate women, how to hurt girls, it's incredibly dangerous, because the nature of people who are that hateful, there's a sort of neurodivergence which makes them very good at tech. And they can reach children. I think the whole Children Act needs to be written again, because there's no mention of technology. People don't know what to do. And as a foster carer, I can't take a child's phone away if their parents gave it to them. I'm not allowed to. Right,
in case they wanted to contact them, I suppose.
Well, I think it's just because it's their property.
Right, okay. But can't you put what's the word I'm looking for? To stop them, the barriers.
Parental control.
Parental control, that's it, thank you.
Yeah, then you have to go through Twitter or something else. Or they can have a calculator masking, a picture of a calculator masking an app, which is a complete, black hole of pornography. It's beyond parental controls. Parental controls is like sticking a little verruca plaster on the entire issue. It's beyond that.
The thing is,
approach.
Kids are so, even really young kids, they're so good at technology, aren't they? They're far better than sometimes the parents.
Absolutely, but it's like languages. If you're learning languages when you're young, as your brain is young and pliable, you'll learn more. They're just getting it too quickly. I mean, personally, I didn't let my children have mobile phones until they went to secondary school. And even then, if I could have, I would have waited until they were 30.
I should imagine that was quite hard.
They would moan until now they're older. They're glad that they didn't have it, because they had a childhood. They had what was of a childhood, and it's so important that we recognise that we are destroying children's childhoods.
Yeah, but then there's peer pressure, isn't there? If everybody else has one.
If ever there's a problem, it's peer pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So this crisis, the shortage of foster carers, is there anything we can do? I mean, I know you're a campaigner for children in the care system. Yeah. Are there any petitions we can sign? Anything we can do?
Well, I'll tell you what you can do. Is I'm just about in the very early stages of setting up a national campaign. So perhaps once we're a bit further down the line, it won't take long, maybe we'll talk.
Yes.
And I can talk to you about what we're doing and how we're recruiting and how we're doing it very differently, because I think it needs a different approach. I'm in my 50s, and the average age of a foster carer now is 60. We're the wrong age. You need people in their 20s and 30s and 40s.
Yeah, of course, I agree.
Who are tech savvy, who've got the energy and have perhaps the lifestyles where a child can fit in rather than you stop your entire world to accommodate a child. I think, but I would love to talk to you.
Yeah.
About, we need foster carers. We need them because if we don't have foster carers, they're all going to be put in purpose-built children's home. And a lot of them will be unregulated.
Oh, well, let's do that. You keep us informed. You keep me informed of what's happening. We'll have you on again. But for the moment, this latest book is called Milo's Story from the Thrown Away Children's series, and it's by Louise Allen, who we're chatting to now. Louise, so people can find out a little more about you, can you remind us of your website?
Yes, it's louiseallen.com.
Perfect. It's simple as that. Well, as always, it has been great to chat to you, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Louise.
You
too. Bye-bye.